computer, and I'm recording now. So we're gonna go live on Facebook, and
Am I centered enough?
I think you're great. Choose where you want this to go. Share. Okay. Okay. Next. Siri's like trying to talk to me. Jasmine, can you see me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can you see? Am I blurry?
No, I think we're good. Okay. Let's talk about anxiety and depression.
Why am I supposed to be smiling too?
You so
like, why are you smiling?
I'm just happy, girl. She said, "Am I supposed to be?"
I'm nervous.
Well, don't be nervous because I think I'm recording now, so it's too late to be nervous. We're doing this, okay?
Well, I don't know what to say.
I'm gonna ask you questions and we're gonna talk, okay?
Okay.
Well, let's see. Okay. So, do you want to? So we are live.
Oh yeah, it just popped up at the top.
Oh, it did.
On the thing, it says live on Facebook.
Okay, so I just have to find the screen and see your face again. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Okay, here we go. So, okay, here we go. Hey, Jazz.
Hey, girl.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. So first off, for everybody that's watching today, thank you guys for popping in to join Jasmine and myself as we talk about anxiety and depression. So for those of you who don't know, I mean, you guys follow me, but again, if you don't know, I'm Tashina. I'm the founder for One Belief Organization, and we're an organization that's about mental health awareness and emotional intelligence. We talk about ridding yourself of negative self-talk, talk about anxiety, depression, suicide prevention, doing all of that. So as you should know, I posted about it the other day. It's May and it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So we really are just shedding light on instances where people deal with mental health, primarily anxiety or depression. But there's so many different illnesses that you can have for mental health. So we just want to pop on here and share some stories with you guys. So we have Jasmine here today. So Jasmine, go ahead and say, hey girl, hey.
Hey girl, hey y'all.
Today.
It's been good. It's been a long day. I had to work.
Yeah. How's working from home going for you? Because I'm assuming you're working from home as most everyone is.
I actually enjoy working from home. It's a lot more peaceful and a lot more stress-free for me. So I would love to keep working from home.
Okay, well, I know that you are embarking a new journey, a new page in life right now as you're transitioning into building your own platform, which I think is super exciting. I'm so excited for your journey as you begin to share your story, what you've experienced with anxiety and depression, because I know you're going to impact so many lives because so many people deal with anxiety and depression. So I think it's great that you're starting to be able to open up and talk about your experience.
Thank you.
Super excited for you.
Thank you. I'm nervous, but this is a needed journey.
Well, why are you nervous?
Well, for me, it's just more or less based on a lot of people are not okay with opening up about having anxiety and depression. And I feel like I'm going to be exposing myself and making myself, vulnerable for the world. Like I'm going to be sharing parts of myself that I've never shared, even with family and friends. And so it's not more so being judged by others. It's just more so, are people going to be receptive of the information and receptive of who I am?
I can,
outside of what they know.
yeah, I can totally understand that. I think, so that right there is like anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to be transparent and vulnerable, because in those moments when we're able to be transparent and vulnerable, that's when people are able to connect with us.
Yeah,
We need to realize that we share common ground across the board with, everyone. I mean, I'm sure there's a commonality we can find in almost everyone if we allow ourselves to open up and be vulnerable and have these conversations. And that helps destigmatize that stigma, that's associated with the shame of feeling like you're going through something alone or by yourself. Um,
exactly.
so I think it'll be received well. And I always say this: you cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. So when it falls upon the ears that needs to hear it, they're going to be receptive of that, and they're going to receive that message, or be blessed by your story, or whatever it is that you're sharing. So you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So just keep that with you. Put that in your little bag of tricks.
Well, thank you. It's right here.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about anxiety, and when you first started realizing anxiety was a problem or issue, because anxiety comes before depression. So let's talk about what it was like for you. I guess the journey of maybe like when depression started, or I guess the first question would be, what is your first inkling or thoughts of having anxiety, and what was that like? What was your first thought of depression, and what was that like?
So my first inkling with anxiety started when I got to high school. It was something that maybe my sophomore year that I started to struggle with, but I did not know what it was, because it would be certain things to where I would get really, really anxious, and then I would lash out. But 5 minutes later, once that moment passed, I was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then around 19, I had got my first apartment, and I called my mom one day crying, and I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I was like, something is wrong with my heart. I was like, I can't breathe. So she was like, well, call your doctor. So I went to the doctor, and then they sent me to the emergency room, and come to find out it was an anxiety attack, but that also triggered a heart problem. And so naturally, of course, I was treated for the heart problem and for the anxiety, but that was around the first time that I really just realized that, okay, so something is not wrong, but something is different about me. There are certain things that started to trigger that. Like sometimes it would be going to work. At the time I worked at Hooters, and it would be time for me to go to work, and I couldn't breathe. Like I would have a full blown out panic attack just walking out of the house. But then once that moment passed and I was at work, I was fine. So that was at 19. Around the time of my 21st birthday was the first time I had ever got treated for depression. And at that time, I was in a relationship. And as you know, being in a relationship young does bring on certain things. So during that relationship, in the beginning, I was fine. And then I don't know if it was just getting older or if it was the stress from the relationship that caused it, but I had like a mental breakdown at 20 years old. Like I was crying. I was having suicidal thoughts. I just knew that something was not right. There's no reason that at 20 years old, I should feel this way. Mm-hmm. So I went to the same doctor that treated me for anxiety, and they gave me this little iPad looking thing, and I did a test. And so one of the questions was, how often do you think about hurting yourself or others? And I put a 10 because it was the truth. And so she came in the room and she was like, hey, have you ever been treated for depression? And I was like, no, because I'm not depressed. Because at the time I thought depression was sleeping all day, crying all day, like you physically looked like something was wrong, but I was still going through everyday life. And so that was the first time I got put on medication for depression at 20.
Okay. So had you known people to have experienced depression because you thought that depression was crying all day and sleeping all day? Is that what your understanding of depression was at that time, or and where did that
That's
come
what my understanding. I mean, you see it like on the commercials, they make it seem like it's, you're uninterested in everyday activities, but they also made it seem like I was supposed to have a mood swing, in which I was, but I didn't know. So it turned into, well, I'm not crying. I'm still getting up every day going to work. And I mean, at the time in my life, I didn't know anybody that had actually been diagnosed with being depressed.
Yeah. So you felt that since you were still conducting your everyday normal life routines that you were not depressed. You just felt like something was off. But it,
Exactly.
okay, okay. So I guess somewhere down the line you had a preconceived notion that depressed people just cry and they just lay in bed all day.
That's what I thought, and I wasn't doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So who was the first person you told about being depressed?
My cousin Melanie, hopefully she'll get mad at me for saying her name, but I told her first because at that time,
It's okay.
at that time, her and I were super, super close. So I knew that I could go to her and tell her anything. And I told her, I was like, I don't feel like nothing's wrong. And she was like, well, it is.
Okay. So how did she receive, like, 'cause the first thing we think is like people thinking something of us. So how receptive of your telling, like saying, hey, Melanie, I'm depressed. What was that like for her? What was it like for you? Like, how did that go?
It was scary for me, but she was just like so calm and so patient, and she was there like every day, especially whenever I first started on medication, because I mean, I didn't know what to expect. And then once again, I'm talking about commercials. On the commercials, you see they give you all these side effects. And I was like, well, what if I really do want to kill myself? Like, I don't know how to go about this. Like, I don't know how to do life with this medication. So she was there every day, especially, I want to say the first month and a half, she was there every day, no matter what.
Okay. And so at this point in time, did other people know that you're on medication? And then, well, did other people know you're on medication?
Just her and my mom. I told my mom, and she was like, okay, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. So her and your mom, and then how I'm glad that you were open to, options as far as medication. Did you ever experience a time where you had a negative reaction or you felt differently? Because we hear these different stories about people taking medication for depression and then there's like a negative reaction. So did you ever have anything that ever happened while on the medication or
Mhm.
reaction differently?
There was a time when the first time I got put on medication, like I said, I was almost 21. I did have a negative reaction around the time I was 22.
Mhm.
Yeah, my suicidal thoughts got worse. And I couldn't understand why, because I was like, I'm on two different types of medication. This is supposed to help me. And
Mhm.
so I remember one morning, I woke up and all day that day, nothing went right. And then maybe 5 or 6 hours into the day, I was just like, I'm gonna kill myself today. So I wrote letters to my mom, to my sister, to my brother, and to my dad. And, I apologized that for things that didn't make sense at the time. I apologized for having anxiety. I apologized for having depression because I just couldn't do life anymore. Like I didn't want to. And it was weird because at the time that the day that I did have that reaction and the day I wanted to do it,
Mhm.
I had a plan already put in my head. And I was like, I'm gonna do it this way and I'm gonna do it at this time. At that time, I was still in a relationship and I was like, he goes and plays basketball around this time and I'm gonna cook him dinner and I'm gonna write him a letter and I'm gonna just apologize and nobody's gonna have to deal with me in this condition that I have. And so he didn't go play basketball.
Mm.
And he was like extremely gentle with me, almost like he knew. And so I was like,
Did he know that you were taking medication at this time?
mm-hmm. He did. I tried to hide it, and then he was nosy and went through my stuff and found it. So
Okay.
that's how.
Okay. So that did not happen.
Mm-mm.
What is this the first time, like when they see this, is this the first time they're going to hear about this? Or you actually told them?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. This is the first time. A lot of things that we discussed will be a first for everybody. Well, mainly everybody.
Wow. So at that time, so you had this plan to actually harm yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that was not what was supposed to happen.
No.
So he showed up and he was who you needed him to be at that moment. So after that day passed, how did you deal with the suicidal thoughts of like, hey, am I going to, I mean, what were your thoughts after that happened?
My thoughts after that was God has a purpose. I don't know what this purpose is. And so I started praying every day. Every time I actually stopped taking medication after that day because that was scary.
Mhm.
So it made me think negatively of the medication. So I turned to prayer. Every time I felt myself having a panic attack, I would pray through it. I would ask for God to just at least get me through this moment. And if I could get through this moment, then I could get through every other moment.
Wow, that's beautiful. So have you taken medication since then, or you just never took it? Oh,
No,
you,
I actually recently got back on medication, October, November.
okay.
So now I am on something different, and I do take it once a day faithfully.
Yeah. So you had to change it up.
Hmm.
And that's the thing, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not able to see any comments if anyone's commenting. Um, Understand that if you are on medication for depression, for anxiety, everybody's body responds differently. There was a woman that I had spoke with, and she had told me that the medication they switched her to had her wanting to harm herself. Like she actually was in that
Hmm.
trying to harm herself, and someone walked in. And so, if you are taking medication that you know doesn't sit well, I mean, you need to be pay attention to your body, know what's going on, be mindful of what's how you're feeling and how your body's responding, because the medication is supposed to help you, not
Not hurt you.
yeah. So I'm glad that you're able. You just really have to be able to be in tune with yourself. That if anyone's watching, or whenever we play this back, be mindful of the medication you guys are taking. Some people have things that they're allergic to. You have to look at everything that's in there, and just know how your body responds to that. And Jasmine, I'm so glad that you're able to talk about, just this right here in therapy and getting medication. Because sometimes people just you need it. If you need to, you just need to. So
You
I'm
do.
okay. So at that point in time, we stopped and we just started prayer. So would you say that it is important to have that spiritual um, relationship, and so that you're able to get, I mean, you stopped taking medication. So how did the prayer and everything help you in this journey of where you were at that point in time?
It helped me a lot just due to the fact that, like I said, on that day, it was like an epiphany, like God spoke to me, like, you have a greater purpose.
Mm.
So I'm 27 now, so there was like a huge gap to where I wasn't on medication. During that time though, I started to live life. Like I started to experience things on my own. Shortly, well, 2 years, 3 years later, I became single. And so up until a couple of months ago, I started writing in my journal. I talk to God a lot more often. Anytime that I felt like during that time that I was not going to make it or I was having a moment, I would call somebody. And even if it was to talk about nothing, I knew that if this is going to sound weird, but if you have anxiety, you get it. You have a little voice in your head that's telling you everything negative. So I had to do something to sound or to drown out that voice. And
Mhm.
so what I would do is I would call somebody, or I would go somewhere, or I would take a shower and pray. I don't know why, but water calms me. So I would, hmm,
It's soothing.
it is. So I would do that. And then I would talk to God and just be like, I know that this is in my head and that's not me. Like, it's almost weird to say that I grew from a place of suicide, but I did. Depression is a different beast. And I mean, I tackle it every day, but with anxiety, it makes it worse. So I did have to turn to God, look, not today. And, I started also telling myself, like, if something bad or I feel negative thoughts or something, I'll even tell myself to this day, God, this is not for me. Like, I know it's not. It's okay, and move on. That's what I've had to resort to.
Okay.
Well, it's not a result because calling on God is never a result, but that's what I've started doing.
No, okay. So the self-talk, because we all do it. Everybody does it at
Mm-hmm.
some point in time. We have this negative self-talk, and sometimes we have like a little. I know you've probably heard of imposter syndrome, like thinking you're not worthy or deserving of the things that are happening to you. So I think everybody goes through that at a period and point in time. We just really have to be in tune with ourselves. So if I'm correct in understanding everything, for you, you said you grew from a place of suicide. So it's really like you went through that hardship or that really low point in time, but then kind of found your way. You have like this path. You took your spiritual journey with God. You started exploring more things and getting out and figuring out what Jasmine wants in life and what Jasmine's going to do. And understanding that things are happening and it's going to continue to happen, but it's really more so how you respond to it.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that the self-talk, like how do you handle those present days? So like I know that you said sometimes, and everybody has those. It's just a little voice. It's not crazy because you said I'm probably. It's not crazy. We all have doubts. We all experience life, so we always question. I'm working on something right now. I was telling somebody this morning. I was like, I just get so anxiety in my chest sometimes because you're like, and it's like right here. You're like, oh, this makes me feel like.
Yeah.
And like for me, because people see me and they're like, oh, man, she don't this, that, or other. I get anxiety too. I get anxious. I don't want to do stuff sometimes. And believe it or not, I don't like being like the front line center. I don't like attention on me. I'm very I try to be behind the scenes as much as possible. But it doesn't always happen that way. But if it was my preference, I want to be behind the scenes. I do not want to be out in the limelight. And it's crazy because I mean I'm very sociable and I meet a lot of people. I'm always talking to a lot of people. But if it was like my thing, like if Tashina could just have her way, I'll be so behind the scenes and nobody would ever see it.
No, we need you in front of the camera. Look at you doing so good.
Thank you so much. You're so sweet.
You're awesome.
Okay, so and I forgot where I was going. Okay, so depression. No. You said
Self-talk.
Self-talk. So water was soothing for you. Journaling. When did you start? When did you stop? And why?
I started journaling my freshman year in high school. I will never ever forget this journal. My mom bought me a journal and it had I might be saying it wrong, but it had it was like a Hindu god on it. And it was like all these metallic colors, like it was so cool. So all throughout high school, I used to, well, of course the journal ran out by the time I was in high school, but I used to write in these journals and I had a box in my closet. And so I would write in the journal and then turn like the page that I wrote on, I would keep it open and then put it at the top of the closet so that God could see and read my prayers. So I know it was crazy, but it worked for me. So now I recently started journaling more. I have like 5,000 journals. It's a
I know I was counting, but I knew you didn't mean 5,000 literally.
no, but I do. I got a lot of them because I have one that like I write my wants in, one that I write my needs in, one that I write my prayers in. One, I have a diary for frustration. So like if I'm having a bad moment, I may scribble on a page or write in it. But lately I've been writing more than what I normally did, but it's always been something that I've done throughout the years. I just really picked it back up heavily.
Okay. So you just picked it back up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I always think that journaling is something good to do. For me, I don't know. I tell people that I hoard the books. Like I have tons of little. I have one right now. I'm not going to show you this, but I'll show it to you. Like I don't even watch football. I got this right here.
Girl.
I'm not. Like I don't even watch football. But I do have a bunch of little books, and I just like to. I write in them, but I do write my prayer out, and I write my prayer out, but I also am intentional about the things that I want. So I try to keep everything all in one spot. However, I have tons of little journals and books. I collect them. I just love them. I buy them all the time. But I think it's really good to be able to take the thoughts from here, put it on paper, and then the negative things. I'm glad that you said when you write your frustrations down. One thing that I always make sure that I don't do is I don't say negative things. Like we can eliminate that altogether. I'm not going to say. I had a friend. I was talking to her the other day, and she was frustrated about something, and she was upset. I said, "Don't say it. Just don't." So I'm
Mm-hmm.
a firm believer of the things that we say. It has so much power to them. So I think not to
Definitely.
say them. So, you write it down, ball it up, throw it away. Just don't say it. And sometimes you can put it down.
It is something that I'm working on though, because when my anxiety kick in, everything is negative. Like the wind has to blow the same way every day for me. Like I have a routine. My routine is the same way every day.
Yeah.
One kick in that routine and the whole day is negative to me.
No.
I am trying my hardest to break that because it's not good and it is so much power in the tongue, but who child, I'm working on it. I am.
Okay. So what would you say right now? So we've gone through, you had anxiety. So let's talk about your first anxiety attack, because those are scary. People get those.
Mhm.
But that was about 21 or 20?
It was at 19.
19. Okay. But you
Mm-hmm.
weren't diagnosed until later on. Yes? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So anxiety, I've had that before, and it almost is like a heart attack. It's so scary. Like you don't know what's going on. Um, I actually had an anxiety attack last year after my dad had passed away. And I don't know, people, it might be their first time. I only like my mom and my grandmother knew. This was after the funeral, and it was before I was supposed to get out of town. I had a wedding in Jamaica, and like I had so much pain. I thought I was having a heart attack. Like I didn't know. I had shortness of breath, palpitations, all of that. I didn't know what was going on. Had to go to the emergency room. So I will say it's definitely a frightening
Scary.
experience for someone who's never gone through it. So, but for me, studying what I study, I knew exactly what I was feeling. I just was like, okay, am I okay? Just making sure, because I don't want to be out of town and not be okay. Um,
Right.
yeah, working. So what was it like? So you went from anxiety to later on getting diagnosed with depression. And then you go to this place of, okay, you're praying more, you're journaling, you are finding out more of what Jasmine wants to do in life. At what point did you say you started to see a shift in your depression getting to a healthier space? Like you're 27 now, so that's 7 years of that journey. At what point were you like, life is okay, I don't have to harm myself? At what point did you see the shift in the depression? And
To
what
be
part did you have?
honest, oh, sorry, go ahead.
And what part did you have in that, the mindfulness of like, okay, this is where I'm at and this is where I'm going?
To be honest, I really started to see a shift maybe last summer. At that time, I wasn't on any medication, but there was a time where I did go through a very, very dark period. It's probably something that I will never ever speak about out loud, but I did go through a dark period from 25 till almost, well, to just about last summer to almost 27, right before my 27th birthday. I did have a lot going on. I went through something really, really dark. I went through 2 traumatic experiences. So I didn't really start seeing a change up until I decided to be the change. I started journaling more. And then I also decided that I was going to stop living in my head. And at first it was hard because I was like, well, if I ignore the anxiety and I ignore these voices, something bad is going to happen. But then once I stopped doing that, it was like, okay, so it is okay to live life and it is okay to drive my car a different way down the street. Nothing bad is going to happen. Yeah. So up until recently, like I feel so much better now. I still have my days, but things are turning around for me. And some of the stuff that I was eating too, my mom always jokes.
Yes, people don't understand the food that we eat.
Mm-hmm. Now, don't get me wrong.
I think, well, I know we gonna eat, because the other day I was like, I'm getting off the phone with you. I was like, I'm not about to be fooling with her.
Girl, because you know I love to eat.
Yes, but can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know we've talked about that before. How does it play a role in your depression, like your moods more so?
So I love fast food, and I love chicken nuggets and French fries. And I just started liking barbecue sauce. I don't know why, but I'm obsessed with dipping the barbecue sauce. So
I like
I have.
lately. I've been on the jalapeno ranch, and I shouldn't do it.
Oh,
But
that sounds good. From
Southwest.
Whataburger.
Listen, I'm not telling you because you don't need it.
Girl, look, I
Okay. So back to okay.
So I kind of started masking my craving for, well, I had cut out sodas, and then I had also decided to stop snacking.
Mm-hmm.
Too much sugar for me, especially I'm realizing the older I get, I do pack on weight really, really easy. So I was like, okay, I got to cut it out. Yeah. So I cut out a lot of the sugary stuff. I stopped drinking soda. Every now and again, I'll have like maybe a half a Dr. Pepper. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Danielle is a health guru. So over the summer, she had me trying all this stuff and eating all this stuff. And then it just kind of became a thing to where when I wasn't eating so much greasy food, mm-hmm. I was able to sleep through the night. And I didn't wake up and I didn't feel heavy. I didn't feel groggy. I felt like, this feels good. I mean, I'm hungry, but it feels good.
Yeah.
And then I also started drinking. I'm sorry, not drinking. I also started eating like a lot of fruit. My mom is a firm believer in fruit and will force you to eat it. So when I was living at home at the time, I was eating a lot more fruit, especially like a lot of berries and stuff. And I hate bananas. Huh?
I love berries, and I eat blueberries. I love blueberries, but the thing is, I'm so silly. So like, I like my blueberries frozen. I won't eat it if it's not frozen. Now, if it's on a salad, I will eat it because it's a salad. But I don't like. Mm-hmm. It's something about looking at it and then like seeing. I don't know. It's silly. It works for me.
I like blackberries, and my mom, she likes to buy. Speaking of blueberries, she likes to buy. You go to Sam's and you buy that big old thing of blueberries. Mm-hmm. And every month she's like, "Did you eat some blueberries?" I'm like, "No." And then she used to buy like a lot of bananas, and I realized that bananas do help with your mood because they help with serotonin. So
bananas?
Mm-hmm. Bananas are happy food.
Okay, hence the yellow happy, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something about it. Yeah. We'll talk about bananas later.
Because now I'm hungry.
Okay. So last year it's the first time out of the whole 7 years that you're starting to see yourself in a better, positive place. And I love how you said that you had to stand up and take responsibility for you. Like you were like, okay, this is where Jasmine is. So present day, what are 3 ways that you say that you deal with anxiety? And how are you more mindful of your whenever depression's coming? Because as we go through life is always going to happen, right? But it's not what happens, it's how we respond to it. So I'm glad that you decided to, start to respond differently and realize that, I see, like when I talk to people, I often hear it. When people are depressed, we go into this thing that like we let it take over us, like in your depression, right? But when someone has cancer, you're not walking around saying, I am cancer, It's like with depression, like I'm this horrible person. It's like this your whole existence. And depression is not your existence. It's just something you're experiencing. And there's So I think that once we start to understand it's something that we're experiencing, it's not who we are. It's just an experience. We will be able to better deal with it. But what are 3 ways that you are dealing with or taking care of or practicing like self-care? What do you do for yourself when you are feeling depressed?
The what?
What has helped you?
What has helped me is taking time for myself. I enjoy shopping, spending unnecessary money. So some ways that I self-care is I love to get my nails done and my hair. So that's one way. I journal. And then I also talk to people for certain people, because certain people know whenever I am having a moment. And so they cater to that moment. And I feel like getting it out is a good form of self-care for me.
Mm-hmm. So everybody can understand a good form of self-care for them.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Yes. And so right now, since we've been on quarantine, I see your hair is done. I don't, look, my nails are not done, but I see yours are. Oh, they're not done. Okay.
For once, they not done.
Same here. So what has self-care been like for you during quarantine? Because this is different now. You're not able to do the things you like to do. Go get the hair and the nails done to do that self-care. So how are you feeling about
No, I did get the hair done, but
it's okay. I got my too. It was like the beginning of quarantine. I'm like, where you at? I was like, I'm getting my hair
it
done.
counts.
Oh, don't worry.
Since we've been on quarantine, I actually walk now because with the stay-at-home orders, you know, we can't go out shopping. Well, we're not supposed to. So I have.
What you mean? Where you shopping at? How are we supposed to?
I want to be out and about. I don't want to do no online. I want to do the whole zhuzh, like try it on. But I have started walking. Me and my sister go walk at the park. I am terrified of ducks, but I have realized that ducks are soothing. I like to, there's these two little families of ducks me and her always watch. So that's been really, really soothing for me. Something else is I have started to meditate more and listen to meditations, these I am affirmations in the mornings and at nighttime before I go to sleep is also healthy. I still journal. Another thing that I have been doing is learning me, you know, learning things that I like and things that I enjoy more or less because the world stopped. And I say this, that it stopped for me to be able to catch my breath and learn me. So I've really, really been coming more in tune with myself and being like, you know what? A lot of things that were triggers for me, for my anxiety, for the outside world, I've started to think of new ways to cope with them. That may not sound like self-care, but it really is because I'm learning to take care of me.
That is so beautiful. Like, I think for me in this time, and I say I know for me in this time, this virus has made me realize so much of what we're able to do for ourselves, right?
Yes.
And it really forces you to, because anybody knows me that's really close to me, they know I've been saying I need a break since like 2017, okay? But anybody who knows me at the same time knows she ain't take no break.
Ain't taking no break.
I've been going. It's like I ain't stopping. I'm in the race with myself. It ain't even about anybody else. So it's like anybody that knows me knows that I'm constantly going. And so this virus has really forced everyone to have to sit down and rest. Or yes, Faith. How do you make coffee? Can we do that in a little bit?
Oh.
Yeah, earlier today I put a note on the door. I said, "Mommy's going on Do Not Disturb," right? And I put it up. I asked Faith. I said, "Faith, do you need anything? Because Mama's about to work on some stuff. Do you need anything?" Oh no. I asked Caleb, "Do you need anything?" No, I'm good. As soon as I closed the door, like 7 minutes later, she texted me. I bumped my head, and so I was like, "Are you bleeding?" And she said, "No." You still there, Jasmine?
Yeah, girl.
I was like, "Are you bleeding?" She said, "No." And I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "No." And I was like, I didn't hear a thump. But it's like as soon as I said, Mommy needed some me time, she's like, "Oh, I bumped my head." And I was like, "Okay, how can I help?"
She
But
just wants you because she has you all the time.
okay,
That's your mini me.
Shadow. That's my baby though. But back to that. So yeah, it's just like it made me realize how much that we are able to we're able to do so much, right? So we put these limiting thoughts on ourselves. We have limiting self beliefs, and so when we're able to really sit down and examine us as an individual, our likes, our dislikes, where we're going,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, where people mess up is we act and we act recklessly. We're doing things that are not in alignment with where we're going or the direction.
Or who you want to be.
Exactly. Because if it's not something that is in alignment with who you want to be, where you're trying to go in life, what that life looks like, what are we doing it for? You know? So it's like we need to always begin with the end in mind. We need to always constantly begin with the end in mind. We need to be forward thinking. We need to be in tune with ourselves. And I'm so glad that on this journey of depression that now you've become more in tune with yourself because we have to know ourselves. We get in these relationships, we have friendships, and there's altercations or there's falling outs, and you're like, I didn't even know what happened. Well, if you knew a little bit more about yourself, and then maybe the other person knew a little bit more about their self, we can easily pinpoint where that disconnect was at. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that it's really great to be able to delve into knowing yourself, but then also understanding the triggers of things that trigger you, and then what you can do for yourself. So, like you said, positive affirmations. I'm a firm believer in affirmations. I'm a firm believer of starting my day a certain day, like a certain way every day. Like I have my prayer, I got music, I got motivational things I to listen to, and I start my day that way every day. Now, if I don't start my day that way, I can easily see the difference in my mood be thrown off a little bit, and I'd be like,
Yeah,
"It's the day off." Have you ever noticed that? Do you have a morning routine or a typical way of doing things?
I do. And then the second that one thing gets off by even everything with my anxiety has to be timed. So at this time I do this, at this time I do that.
Mhm.
1 minute or 25 seconds off, I just throw the whole routine out and I'm like, okay, whatever.
We can't throw pick the routine back up. We don't need any discussion. Pick it up.
I throw the whole thing away. I'm like, not today.
Yes. Well, I don't want that to happen. So let's be mindful and always making sure we're consistent with our routine, because consistency is what's going to bring success on this continued journey. That
Mm-hmm.
so if you had to give three takeaways, like about anxiety, three takeaways about depression for the viewers, because we have about 23 people that are still with us right now. And thank you guys. Does anyone have questions? Let me see. Ah, Cheyenne said that
Look, I want to look too.
so Cheyenne said, oh, Beverly says so pretty. Thank Bev. I think she's talking about you. That's your best to Cheyenne said. She said that medicine makes it worse. So yeah, I've known some instances where people take medicine and it's not a good situation. Now I'm not saying don't take medicine. So you do what works best for you. But I've known some situations like that. So just be mindful of foods. Look into the foods that are good for your diet and how to affect your mood. Definitely, Cheyenne. But thank you for that comment. And we just have a lot of people showing some love. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you, Danielle. She says, thank you, Jazz, for sharing your story.
Oh, thank you, Danielle. Tell her, well, not tell her because she can hear me, but you're welcome.
Okay. So does anyone have any questions before we hop off of here? Anyone have any questions? Let me see. Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you, baby. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead, Jasmine. So do you have any the three takeaways for anxiety, three takeaways for depression?
Mm,
Anything that you want to share with people before we wrap up for today?
I would say that if you know that something is off and you feel like you need help in some areas, go get the help. Don't ever be embarrassed. Talk to friends, talk to family, talk to anybody who's willing to listen. And I mean, people who, if you have somebody who's calling you more than normal, or you could tell something is off about them, be that voice of reason for them to go get help and listen and be there for anybody at any time, because you never know, that person could be going through something and they don't know. And you could be that very reason that they're still here with us.
Yeah. Okay, let's pause for just a moment. Thank you for that. And yes, people definitely take time, because it takes a lot for a person to build up to even talk about, because it takes a lot to be vulnerable. It takes a lot to even come to a place of saying, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. So definitely that. Someone is asking, what is meditation? So I know what meditation is, but do you want to explain what that is? Someone's asking, when meditating, what do you do?
So everybody meditates differently. As I said earlier, water is soothing for me. So that's the time that I do my meditation. Normally, and some people may not, but I'll light a candle and I will turn the light off, and I will either turn on some silent music, like some meditation music, my affirmations, or I will turn the light off with the candle lit, and I will stand in the shower, or I mean, you can even sit in the shower because it's not a bath, it's just a cleansing. So I'll sit and I will breathe and I will, think, I'll pray, I'll cry, or sometimes I'll just sit in silence and wash the day off, wash a negative moment off. Um, meditation is what you make it. You don't always have to sit outside in the sun or, sit in a quiet room. Meditate to what's comfortable for you. And that's what's comfortable for me.
And everybody has to understand meditation looks differently for everyone. So I try to keep a calm, soothing atmosphere always. Like y'all know, I love candles. I got one, this one lit up right behind me. And the morning our candles going. When they have that Bath and Body sale, I'll be up.
That's the time you buy your candles.
Ryan, we hit it up. Ryan, Renika, like I get my people. We got our crew. We go in there strategically. I buy candles for the year, but meditation is different for everyone, right? And you really have to allow yourself time to sit and think, sit and be in your thoughts, sit and clear it out.
Mm-hmm.
So much goes on through the course of the day. Some people really don't know how to think, literally.
Or channel that energy, turn that negative energy into something positive. I mean, I've even said it's okay to shut your day down as soon as you clock out from work. If that's 4 o'clock and it's been a day, shut it down, take a shower, woosah, and be done.
Yeah, because some people really don't know. I mean, and it sounds like, oh, well, I know how to think. I have thoughts all day. Okay, there's lots of thoughts that run through your brain, yes, but you actually just sit there to think about it, to be like in tune with what is actually going in, what you're putting in, because you really have to be the gatekeeper of your thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
People will say things all the time. So if you choose to entertain it, it can get you in a really negative place. So
Yeah.
be mindful of what you entertain, be mindful of what you hear, and that's why a lot of times I am like playing music for my subconscious. I'm playing like affirmations. I'm playing motivational speakers because I want that stuff to be in. I want to pour positive things in. So I think for people, oh, thank you, Jennifer. Jasmine, she said your story is amazing. So
Oh, thank you.
I want to always be cognizant of what I'm putting in, and because what you put in is going to come out. So thank you guys. Awesome. So you said meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And what else did you say? You said
I
it's
said, now you got me thinking back. Meditation. Tashina, what? I don't know, because that whole meditation thing got me so off track.
okay. I apologize. So yeah, so we answered the question for meditation. Okay, making sure we got that. Okay, so they asked what you do right now. So they said they asked what meditation was. So you do meditation, you journal, and then is there just anything else you want to leave them with? Because we've been going on for almost an hour. Wow. And thank you
For
guys
real?
for watching with us. I know it's
We did.
fast. It's
Uh,
long as I don't know. It says 40 minutes, 40 something minutes. So it don't seem like it to me. But
it doesn't.
yeah.
But the last thing that I would leave you guys with, or anybody that's listening and watching, is always be a listening ear and know that you may be having a bad day, but it doesn't last always. And I mean, as I stated earlier, depression and anxiety are two different types of beasts, but they are one and the same. And, this is something that I plan to get through, and I hope anybody else dealing with it does get through it. And we have to fight to block out any of those thoughts, any suicidal thoughts. We also have to fight to be here every day because we have a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And our purpose is so much greater than what we're actually going through.
Yeah. And that's the part I really like when I talk to our youth. Oh my goodness. I let them
Mm-hmm.
know because I'm so passionate about it with everyone, but letting them know like your mission and your purpose is so great. And even you, Jasmine, like I know that when we talked about your business idea and where you're going, and I'm just like, everybody, like you have to understand, like everybody has different like grades, right?
Right.
We go to school, we have different grades, right? So
Mm-hmm.
wherever you're at in that journey, that grade level, there's always someone else that you are inspiring with your story. There's someone else that you are influencing. And with you, I'm glad that you have the support of family members and friends. People love you and you have so much support. Like when I said we're going live, or even the other day, it was like all these shares. I was like, ah. And so I know that your story, even though painful for you, is going to be a
Mm-hmm.
blessing and a testimony for those that it falls upon the ears. So just my
Exactly.
to you, Jasmine, as I said before, you cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. So
Mm-hmm.
continue on this journey and staying strong. And thank you so much for just being transparent and opening up about that. because people need to know, as you experience things with depression, anxiety, that so many other people have similar feelings, sadly, but you can relate and connect with someone else. So always speak, don't bottle that stuff in, don't hold it in. You have to talk to somebody. Talk to, if you're not sure, because I think sometimes people don't know who to talk to. I always pray for divine connections or just to be led in the right person to speak with because you can't talk about stuff with everyone and it's not for everyone. So just if you're unsure about who to open up to, who to talk to, pray and ask God like, hey, who is someone I can confide in? Because you don't want to go to the wrong person because not everybody's going to.
Exactly.
So always be mindful of that. Um, so no, there's not a link for the affirmations, but I will. Jasmine, do you have a link of a specific?
Yeah, I will post those on my page, and then I also tag you in them. That way, everybody can see them.
Awesome. So we're gonna get the link for affirmations out to you guys. Thank you, Teresa, Jennifer, Lanita, Tessie, Sarita. Hey, you got to watch this back, hon. I hope there's something that really resonated with you. We definitely got to get together. Oh my gosh, thank you. So many people on here. Oh, Katina, Miss Hanson. That's one of my old boss. She's the truth, y'all. Danielle, Nastasia. Oh my gosh. Ebony, thank you guys. Beverly, Kendra. So we're gonna get that list for you. And we'll just circle back some things. There goes Faith. She gotta come in, y'all. Look at her. So we're gonna
Hey,
get
Faith.
that out for you guys and make sure we provide those resources. Melanie, thank you for tuning in. Mary, William, oh, Danielle, thank you. You guys are awesome. So, once again, like I know y'all are watching from Jasmine's page too. I'm Tashina. My page, you guys can find me through that link. I have an organization, it's One Belief Organization. We're all about mental health awareness and emotional intelligence. So normally we have classes, but COVID kind of shut some things down. So we're doing things virtually, and it works just like this. Like Jasmine and I are here. And be looking out. Jasmine's going to be having some things on her platform that's coming up. We're working on some things.
I am.
Gonna get her jumping and pumping. She's gonna be out doing her thing. Super excited about
I'm
that.
so excited.
I'm excited for you because it's gonna be a blessing and you're gonna be able to impact lives. So I'm excited about that. And then anyone who wants to connect with One Belief, you can check our stuff out. Our social media is One Belief Organization website, onebelieforganization.org. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. We have our mental health awareness T-shirts out. Y'all be getting those T-shirts for Memorial Day and 4th of July. Y'all need one for mental health. So you can find those on onebelieforganization.org, and I'll put that in our comments. And just connect with us because we're doing stuff in the community. We're still going to do our backpack event this year. It's going to be different. It might be a drive up, figure it out, but we're still serving the community. We also will do some things for the youth next month in June. So thank you, Melanie. She said our community needs this. Yes.
It definitely does.
Definitely does. Thank you so much for watching, Melanie. And we love you too, Lanita. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um,
So we're gonna be doing
y'all
some.
gonna make me cry.
Okay, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Thank you so much, Jasmine. I appreciate your transparency.
And well, thank you so much for the opportunity, and I would do it anytime.
Well, we will check back in. Like I said, there'll be some more lives tomorrow morning. I'm gonna be live. Oh, thank you, Mama Dorothy. Thank you. Thank you. Look, we all go through. We all be going through. We just have to be able to support and rally with one another. So, thank you.
Definitely.
So tomorrow I'll be on talking about postpartum depression because Mother's Day is coming up, and sometimes, people lose people at any point in time, but there's some mamas out there and with some stories. So we'll be talking about postpartum depression tomorrow morning at 11. So, and it'll be right here on the page. If you're not my friend on the page, it's TAISHO Baker. So I'm going to go ahead and end on that note. And Jasmine, it's been real. I'm about to get ready to eat my little dinner, and thank you so much.
And enjoy your faith time.
I am. Looking at her. She wants to make coffee, girl. She loves to cook, so she be like up in there doing stuff.
That's good.
But thank you so very much, and
Thank you.
Thoughts and prayers, and we gonna talk.
We are. Thank you, boo.
All right, we'll see you later. Thank you guys for watching.
Bye, y'all.